Hey guys, for those of you who have seen me before, welcome back, and I want to send and extend a warm welcome to you all who are joining me for the first time. I really appreciate you taking time to talk about my life with me. So today the topic of conversation is bone scans, CT scans, and MRIs. Oh my! My name's Micky Stewart, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer on December 6th, 2016. And I decided to turn my experiences into something positive so that I would be able to share my story and hopefully help someone else who was diagnosed with breast cancer, or help someone who knows someone who was diagnosed with breast cancer. When I first got diagnosed, I had to have something called a biopsy, and that is when they go in and take tissue that is a part of the tumor and have it tested to actually confirm that cancer is the correct diagnosis. I already had my biopsy done the same week that I went in for my mammogram, and it of course came back positive for breast cancer. I also had a lymph node tested at that time. The lymph node came back negative for breast cancer. So that was a thank you Jesus moment. But my doctor wanted me to have additional testing done just to make sure that the cancer had not spread anywhere else in my body. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So when she first told me she wanted me to get these additional tests done, I'm like, okay, what tests would you like? And she said the CT, the bone scan, and the MRI. And for me, I'm like, okay, I've never had any of those tests done. I didn't know what to expect. So of course, probably like most people, I started researching what each test detailed. And after going through the process, I decided that I really wouldn't have a good idea of what it was like, even though I read so much stuff, until I actually went through it. And that's why I wanted to do the video today. Hopefully I can share some of my experience and help you prepare if you have one, or if you know someone who's going to have one. So we're going to start with the bone scan. I did have to get an IV for the bone scan, and that's because intravenously, that's how you say it, they put a tracer in. It's a radioactive tracer. This tracer will circulate through your body, and typically it takes 3 to 5 hours. For my experience, it took about 3 hours. They have to wait for that tracer to be absorbed by the bone, because that's how they can detect if the cancer is present on the images, depending on how much or how little tracer shows up on the pictures after you have the scan. So I had the tracer done via IV, and then I had to wait. When you go in to get the bone scan done, you lay back on the table, and I had a great staff who provided me with, blankets, warm blankets and pillows under my knees, and I had a pillow I got to lay on, so that was really nice. I wasn't uncomfortable at all. But basically you had on your back this big machine that came close down to you, like it was almost going to smash you, and it probably stopped about 1 inch from your nose. And at that moment I did feel a little claustrophobic, because you had this big machine glaring you in the face, and you had this little cross to look at that was painted on the machine, or indented in the machine, whatever you want to call it. So the technician started the test, and the machine just slowly goes down your body and scans your bones, and it comes back up. And the second part of the test, the technician told me he was going to put a type of metal over my abdomen area, my stomach area, and it was kind of flexible, but it was heavy. And he put 2 of those bags on me. And then the machine came down and scanned again. I would say the test took for me about 30 to 40 minutes. It wasn't too bad. The only awkward parts were the machine coming down in front of my face, and also how heavy those metal bags were. But the test overall wasn't that bad. Actually, I honestly kept dozing in and out of sleep, because I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. And the technician kind of kept waking me up, asking me if I was okay or if I was comfortable. So it couldn't have been that bad, right, if I was falling asleep. The next test that I had done we're going to talk about is the MRI. So of course, like I said, I did a lot of research and I heard that it was loud and you may feel claustrophobic. So when you first go in to get your MRI, they'll probably give you a dressing room and a locker so that you can put your things in. And this is because you have to get undressed completely. So you're allowed to keep your underwear on, but other than that, you have to be fully nude. You go into the test and you are going to, this time, instead of laying on your back, you're face down on your stomach. And I also had to get an IV for the MRI. This time, instead of the radioactive contrast, they gave me they gave me a contrast. And MRI stands for magnetic resonance imaging, and that's because they use a magnetic field to take these images, and the contrast helps anything abnormal show up better on these images. When they did give me the contrast, I did not feel anything awkward or weird. It was actually very pleasant for the most part, other than the needle. So that went very well. And then once you're laying down on your stomach, the machine kind of electronically wheels you into this long tunnel, and it's dark in there. It was very loud, but fortunately for me, I did get to have headphones and I had some Christmas music playing, so that kind of helped tone things down. Although even with the music, it was still very, very loud, just like a lot of clanking and banging going on. It just sounded like somebody was outside working on the machine itself, but that's just how the test is done. So ask if you're going to get an MRI if they do have earplugs or headphones with music, because that did help things a little bit. The test itself for me lasted probably about 45 minutes, but in my research, the test I've seen could last anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. Once the test is over, you go ahead and the staff will help you up and escort you back to your room, and you just get dressed, and then it's over. It honestly wasn't that bad, and I don't have a fear of being claustrophobic, so it really wasn't that bad for me. Actually, the bone scan was more claustrophobic with that machine in front of my face than the MRI was. So it wasn't too bad overall. And then the last test we're going to talk about is the CT scan. So the CT scan was the quickest test. It lasted less than 30 seconds. But once again, you had to get an IV and you had a contrast injected into you. But this time, the contrast, the nurse warned me, you would feel this warmth going through your body. And when the contrast dye reached your abdomen, pelvis area, that you would feel like you're kind of urinating on yourself, but you wouldn't really be. And so anytime, I've had tests done and the staff has warned me, like, these are the symptoms you may or may not have. I've never had the symptoms that they say that you may. But this time I really did. So when I got injected with the contrast for this particular test, you could feel it going through your whole entire body, like even in your teeth, you could feel it. And it just felt like warm, hot chocolate kind of going through you, but not in the cozy, comfy kind of way with marshmallows on top. It wasn't like that. It was weird. So be prepared for that feeling, this warm feeling going through your body. And when it did get to my stomach area, I did feel like I was peeing on myself. I wasn't, but it felt that way for about 5 seconds. That sensation kind of lasted about 5 seconds. The test itself, it kind of looked like the MRI. It was this big circular round machine, and you lay on your back again this time. I had the warm blankets and the pillows under my legs, and they tried to make me as comfortable as possible. And then once again, the machine kind of starts and you go back and they just kind of scan you. And like I said, the scan itself probably lasted about 20 seconds. The CT stands for computed tomography test, and it just didn't take long at all. So it was the weirdest for the contrast, but the shortness of the test kind of made up for it. So that's a little bit about my experience. The IVs didn't hurt that much at all unless you're scared of needles. So I would just kind of take away from this video, be prepared to get a needle for an IV. Be prepared to get contrast, maybe twice, maybe 2 different kinds of contrast, and a radioactive tracer for the bone scan. be prepared to be on your stomach and on your back for these tests for a long amount of time, except for the CTs. But the other tests may take, 45 minutes just to get the test and get accurate results. And just make sure you ask for headphones for the MRI, since it may be loud in there. I'm pretty sure it will be. And pretty much that's it. So I hope these flashbacks of my past couple days were helpful for you if you're going to get an MRI or a CT scan. Honestly, you can do it. You can sit through this, and now thinking back, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I had a lot of anxiety before because I didn't know what to expect. But just know that once you get it done, it's over with. You can have a woosah moment and move on to the next step in your process. So I hope this encouraged you. If you want more technical information about MRIs, CTs, and bone scans, you can visit my website at mickystiara.com. Once again, that's mickystiara.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, mickystiara. And I hope that you will continue with me once again on my journey, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. All right. Ciao, Bella.